Welcome back to Tea Time with T and Y. Today's guest on Chapter 35, Cancer Warrior, I have Yazmine. Oh my God, I already fucked up her last name. Well, it wouldn't be a tea time without me messing up on one of my tapings. So let's try this again. Yazmine Ponce de Leon. There
Yes.
we go. With that, let's take our first cheers. Cheers. So today I am drinking water because I don't know, lately I've been running super late and all I have time to do is grab a bottle of water and pour it in my mug. And like today I actually wanted to drink tea, but I just feel like I never have time. What are you drinking with us?
I have a green tea ginger.
Oh, and ginger is so good for your stomach. I always try to find
Mhm.
teas with ginger too. That's yummy. But so to kind of give everyone a little backstory, Yazmine and I did work at Disney together. And oh my God, how many years ago now? Well, my husband and I have been together for almost 10. So, fun fact, Sean, when him and I had first started dating, we'd only been dating, I think, for like, oh my God, so 2, 3 months. And he surprised me inside the park with annual pass. I was working in Toontown with Yazmine here, and he came to surprise me, took some photos with me. I can't really say much more, but it was pretty awesome that you were there, like when his and I's like love story kind of started. And he actually proposed to me on Donald's boat because of that moment.
Yeah, and you were so happy. I just remembered you were like, "Oh, I'm so excited of me. Like he's gonna come visit me." Like it was just so cute. I remember that moment. Like that is one of the best memories I have with you. Just like making sure, the area was clear just for that just moment of you two taking photos
Yeah.
together.
And so we actually did replica photos the year after on the exact same day. And then the year after that, I think we missed it by a day. And then my last day in the department, we came back and we did replica photos, but we did those at the hotel. And Luis Cervantes, who's one of my closest friends, actually bought us Donald's bow in a ceramic for our wedding anniversary or for our wedding gift. So like Donald Duck now has always been our thing because of that one day, and you will always be a part of that special moment with us. So I just think that's a fun fact to share with people because I feel like a lot of people don't even know why I always say it was all started with the duck.
Yeah.
And it's because of that moment. So yay! But
So cute.
I just kind of want to put it out there to everyone. Obviously, we are talking about cancer. Yazmine was diagnosed with cancer. I'll let her kind of dive into that a little bit more, but I do want to put a disclaimer if this is a sensitive topic for anyone. This may not be the best tea time for you to watch. There may be some tears shed on my part because this is something that is really hard for me to hear, but it's something I need to learn about. This is a very important tea time too, because I feel like all women should be listening to this. But that's kind of all I've got for right now. So I will go ahead and let you share your story with us, Yazmine.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I really appreciate, you listening, people listening to my story. It's not something that, like you said, people talk about. People don't talk about cancer. We don't really, like, I didn't know anybody that had cancer until I had cancer. And then I found out how many people at Disney that I didn't even know are currently going through cancer treatments that until I had it, we have that connection. In our entertainment department, there's 4 people that I didn't even know until I was diagnosed and they reached out to me. So people don't really talk about it because it's something, it's very closed off. Nobody wants to talk about it. Um, a lot of people are ashamed and embarrassed. That's why I'm bald right now because I want to be proud about it. It's not something that I want to hide. It's not something that I want to be ashamed about. It's something that I want people to hear my story and really know that it's out there. you
Okay.
know.
Too, that everyone could possibly get. It's not like a taboo. It's not something where you're untouchable, you're unstoppable, you can't get this. Literally any one of us on our daily life can get cancer, and that's why I think it is so important for us to become more knowledgeable on it, not just for ourselves but for our family members, our friends, to be there. We learn how to support, those who are diagnosed with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Before having cancer, I had no idea. I never did research. Like I said, nobody talked about it. But going into, I call it my journey because it is a journey that I'm going through. I looked up information, and about 1 million people a year get diagnosed with cancer in the United States. So you're thinking that's almost more than what people got COVID this year, but this is cancer. It's life threatening. People can die from it. You never know. And what I have, I mean, in February of this year, I found out I have stage 4 ovarian cancer, which is one of the riskiest cancers you can have. It's in the top 5 that people don't survive more than 5 years. And women are obviously affected by it. And, you know, 21,000 women get diagnosed a year, and only 7,000 survive out of the 21,000. So it's a very serious, cancer. And the sad part about ovarian cancer, it's you don't know it until you're in stage 4. There's not enough research. I'm very healthy. I'm a very healthy person. I've never really gotten sick. I've, gotten the flu, gotten the cold, but I've never had any issues with my health. Um, when it comes to women's health, my period was always regular. Never had heavy flows, never, a little TMI, but I've never had bad cramps. I've never had irregular periods. I've always, I've had one child. So they always say, you're more at risk if you never had kids. You're more at risk if you've had it in your family. You're more at risk if you've had complications in the past, but I've never had any of those. So it was a very shocking moment to find out that I had ovarian cancer, because it was something that it was like, what? Like, I get my pap smears all the time. I get checked all the time. I'm always regular. So why would this happen to me? Like, and the sad part is the doctors are like, we don't know why ovarian cancer happens. We know how to detect cervical cancer. We know how to detect other type of cancers. With breast cancer, you can feel lumps. You can, start like something's wrong with, my boob or something. But with ovarian cancer, like you really don't know, and there's not enough research, out there.
Yeah. May I ask you how you got diagnosed? Like, was it
Yeah.
symptoms? Why were you in the doctors?
Yeah. So it's crazy because your body gives you signs, very early signs, but we ignore those very small signs because they could be thousands of reasons. It could be for me, it was my lymph node on my neck. See, and when you get a swollen lymph node, it could be anything. It could be a tooth infection, it could be a cold, you could just have an infection in your body. It could be 1,000 reasons why you have one of your lymph nodes swollen. So mine started in July. I had a lymph node swollen. It got really big. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, is is it a tooth infection? So I went to the dentist right away thinking it was a tooth infection. My dentist was like, nope, it's not a tooth infection. You are perfectly fine. I would go talk to your doctor. So I said, okay, rule that out. I went to the doctor. They were like, do you have a cold? Nothing. They gave me antibiotics, and they said, maybe you have an infection. So go home, take these antibiotics, let us know how you feel. 7 days passed by, nothing. The ball was still there. So I was like, okay, this is weird. Went back to the doctor. They're like, okay, we'll set up, we'll we'll check it out and get a little piece of it, a biopsy, and see if it's maybe one of your lymph node is just infected. So I said, okay. They did a biopsy in October, And they were like, nope, we didn't find anything wrong with it. Maybe it'll just go away. So I was like, okay, maybe it's just some random weird lymph node. So I was like, okay,
At this time, you've already had it for at least 4 months.
yeah. So it was July, August, September, October. Yeah. And it got, after the biopsy, it did shrink down because they took a piece of it out.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, maybe it'll just go away, like the doctor said. Come November, my stomach started hurting. And I was just like, this is weird. Like, why is my stomach hurting every time I ate? So those are the little signs that I was like, okay, there's something wrong with me. So why is my stomach hurting? So I go to the doctor and I tell the doctor, hey, my stomach is hurting every time I eat. So right away they're like, oh, maybe you have some sort of IBS, or IBD, something wrong with your intestines. So I said, okay, maybe I'll change my diet. So I changed my whole entire diet. I stopped eating carbs. I stopped eating gluten. I stopped eating broccoli, anything that would make me bloated. And it kept hurting even more, which is weird. The side effects for ovarian cancer, you're going to be like, what are these side effects? Because my stomach was hurting, like my upper stomach. So I'm just like, what is wrong with me? All the pain stayed there. And then I go back to the doctor and I'm like, nothing's working. So they give me medication for IBS. And they're like, maybe with this medication, try it out. We'll set an appointment to find out, to do a CT scan of your stomach. So I said, okay, perfect. My stomach started bloating. Like, I looked 7 months pregnant and I'm like, there is something wrong. Like, why is my stomach so bloated? I barely eat. There's, you know, I'm eating very light food, no carbs, no nothing. Like, I don't understand why my stomach is bloated. I look pregnant and it's hurting so much. So I go back to the doctor. This is before the CT scan. I go back to the doctor and the doctor's like, yeah, this is really weird. Maybe you do have some intestinal problems. The medication's not working. My doctor starts feeling on my stomach and she feels a lump in my lower abdomen. And she goes, what, have you ever felt this lump before? And I'm like, no, I mean, it doesn't hurt or anything. And she's like, that's weird. Let's do a CT scan of that area. Maybe it's just like a chunk of fat or something stuck there. And she's like, but you are really bloated. So I'm going to give you some bloating medicine and we'll wait for the CT scan. This is already December because with COVID, you can't get a CT scan. You could not get appointments because they had the priority, so trying to get a CT scan, it's scheduled for a month way later in advance. So this is December. All the holidays are happening. So I'm like trying not to eat heavy. I'm like eating very small. And then all of a sudden, now it's January. My CT scan's in a week. I'm like, okay, I can make it. I'm in so much pain, but I can make it. I'm just going to deal with the pain. All of a sudden, I started having breathing problems because my stomach was so bloated that I couldn't breathe anymore. Like, I'm just like, my airways, I can't breathe anymore. So my partner's like, let's go to the ER. Like, you can't breathe. Let's go to the ER. And I'm just like, no. I'm the type where I'm like, no, like, I don't want to go to the ER. How much is that going to cost? Like, I don't want to pay.
Like most Americans. And that's what sucks, that is something that crosses our mind.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like, going in and taking care of ourselves, we have to think, okay, no, how much is it going to cost? If I call an ambulance, it's going to cost this. If I go to the ER, it's going to cost this. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. And that's sad. I'm like, I could pay a $20 copay and wait until next week. It's almost a year, or go to the ER and we'll see how much I pay.
Yeah.
But my partner was like, no, let's go to the ER. You can't breathe. Like, let's just go. We'll figure it out. So we went to the ER in January. That was a week before my CT scan. I tell them I can't breathe. My stomach's in so much pain. And even my mom told me, she's like, exaggerate your pain because they're not going to take you in. So I'm just like, you know what? It's true. So I'm like, I'm in so much pain. Like, I can't breathe. I'm having trouble breathing. And as soon as I told them I had trouble breathing, they're like, okay, let's submit you in. They right away take me to the CT scan. And I'm waiting there thinking like, okay, they gave me pain meds and stuff. So I'm feeling better because the pain medication. So I'm like, this is good. This is great. I have pain meds, so I'm not in pain anymore. And they come back and the doctor looks at my CT scan and looks at me and goes, oh, okay, so there's something wrong with you. And I'm glad you came in. And I'm like, well, what's wrong with me? And she's like, I see masses in your abdomen, in your lower abdomen by ovaries. And she's like, I see like 10-inch masses. And I'm talking about like, that's like a huge mass. And she's like, you have ascites in your stomach, which if people don't know what ascites is liquid that's filled all through your stomach. So she goes, you have ascites all through your stomach and you have fluid in your lungs. She's like, we also found masses growing in your kidney and also in your liver and your lung. So I'm just like, hold on, wait, what? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I thought I have IBS or something. And she's like, no. She's like, I'm glad you came in. Like, I'm really glad you came in because there's a lot happening in your body. So I'm thinking, like, what's next? What does that mean? Am I gonna die? Like, what's happening? And in the ER, it's it sucks because they don't tell you. It's not like the movies or the shows where they're like, hi ma'am, we found traces of cancer, or you've been diagnosed with this. Like, they do not tell you. Then they just go, okay, we're going to send you home with medication. You have to talk to your doctor. And I'm just like, what does this mean though? Like, am I okay? Like, and they're just like, you have to see your doctor. So I was just like, okay. So right away I call my doctor and I'm like, this is what they found. And my doctor called me right away and said, okay, I need you to come on in. Let's look at your stomach and see. So she checks my stomach and she's like, oh wow, okay, I didn't see that. You do have fluid in your stomach. So I'm gonna schedule for them to drain all that liquid from your stomach. And we're gonna find out and do a biopsy of what is in your ovaries. And they don't tell you right away because they can't really tell you like it's cancer. Like, they're not going to say it, even though I'm sure 100% they know what it is. But she was like, we're going to biopsy it and see what it is. And she's like, it doesn't mean it's cancer. So I'm just like, okay. So I'm still in.
Yeah. What is your thought process going through? Like,
I mean, at that time, it's going so fast from thinking I have IBS to all of a sudden they found masses in my ovaries. They found lesions in my liver and in my lungs and liquid in my stomach, where I'm like, what? Like, where does this come from? I literally was fine in November and we're in January. Like, how does all this happen so quick?
yeah.
So everything was going through my head that I couldn't process. Like, I didn't know if to cry or to be like, wait, I can't panic because I don't know what it is. I'm going to start panicking for no reason. So, but myself, I'm the type where I Google everything. Like, if I have a sore throat, I Google it, I WebMD it, I try to diagnose myself, before anyone. So right away I started Googling my symptoms. Like, they told me what I had. So I put ascites, I Googled that. I put lesions in my spleen, lesions in here. I was typing everything the doctor wrote in my little sheet. And it came up right away. You have ovarian cancer, stage 4. And I was like,
My God.
no way. So I'm thinking this and I'm calling my mom and I'm like, Mom, I think I have cancer. I have cancer. And she's like, no, you don't. Don't put it in the universe. She's very like, don't put it out there. Like, it's not true. Like, don't think about it. And I'm like, no, Mom, I Googled all my symptoms. I have cancer and I have stage 4 cancer. And when you think about like stage 4, you're thinking like you're dying.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Like,
it. Like, you don't, when I hear stage 4, that's the first thing that comes to mind is death.
yeah, when someone goes, I have stage 4, you're like, you're dying, right? But I'm like, I can't be dying. Like, there's no way. I have to be wrong. Like, I was fine in November. I was fine in July. Like, there's no way that I go from being perfectly fine to a stage 4 cancer. There's no way. So I'm still Googling and I'm like, Mom, I really do think I have cancer, Mom. Like, at this time, I'm like, Mom, I think I have cancer. And she's like, no, that's not true. Don't say that. I'm waiting a week for them to drain my stomach. So I'm still in pain. They gave me pain medication. They're like, take this medication, hold off until they drain your stomach. Once they drain your stomach, you'll be fine. And I'm just like, okay. I could not. The pain was so unbearable. Imagine all this fluid in your stomach. I was like, I can't take it. So I went back to the ER and I said, I don't care how much this costs. Like, this sounds dangerous. Like, why is this taking so long? If I have stage 4 cancer, they need to tell me right now that I have stage 4 cancer. So I go back to the ER, less than a week. I go back and I tell them I can't breathe. I have ascites in my stomach. I have fluid in my lungs. Like, I just can't breathe. And the doctor looks, they do another CT scan and they go, okay, we're going to submit you to the hospital so we could drain everything out, instead of you waiting. So I was in the hospital now this is already late January, almost February. And I get submitted to the hospital for 3 days. During those 3 days, they drained my stomach and they took out they said it was 6 liters of fluid from my abdomen. So they drained 6, and then they drained 3 fluids in my lungs. This is why I couldn't breathe. It wasn't because my stomach was swollen. It was because there was fluid in my lungs.
Couldn't you have
And
had pneumonia from that?
yeah, but because they couldn't diagnose it, if I wouldn't have gone to the ER, if I wouldn't have been like, I'm in so much pain, help me, like, what's wrong with me? I don't know how long I would have lasted if they wouldn't have found all this. So it's like listening to my body, my mom telling me, my partner telling me, like, no, let's go to the ER. Who cares how much it costs? Like, let's just go and we'll figure it out. When they drained the fluid in my stomach went flat. Like, it was crazy. And then they weighed me and I had lost 60 pounds, but I didn't realize that I was losing so much weight because I was so bloated from the fluid that I just thought I was my typical chubby self. My stomach was bloated, but no, it was the fluid was eating my fat as well. So once they drained it out, like, my stomach got flat. Um, they did a bunch of biopsies they did a biopsy they said in my lymph nodes, because all my lymph nodes in my spine were swollen. So all the because we have lymph nodes all through our spine. They said all my lymph nodes were swollen and it got to the one that was in my neck. So that was the sign telling me that all of my lymph nodes were swollen before all the other problems started happening. So that was the first sign that my body was saying, hey, there's something wrong with you. But unfortunately, like I said, there's no way to diagnose ovarian cancer until you get to the point where I was at the hospital, which was with the fluid in the stomach, the lesions in my liver and the fluid in my lungs. And I already had the masses in my ovaries, but that I didn't know.
Yeah. And who knows how long they've been there, right? Are
Mhm.
they able to figure any of that out?
So they can't. So it could have been there for a year. It could have been there for a month.
And
And it
would a pap smear have been able to detect that if you had one recently, or?
so when I asked more information about, like, what can we do? Like, what could I have done to prevent this or to at least detect it before it got to this point? They said there isn't. A pap smear does not detect ovarian cancer. There is nothing yet so far that can pre-detect you having ovarian cancer. The only way to detect you have ovarian cancer is until it's stage 3, which stage 3 is you do get those symptoms that you have heavy periods and you start having abdominal pains. But in my case, I didn't have that. So that's one of the signs. It's very heavy periods, very like painful cramps. But you're already at stage 3 at that point. And then stage 4 is having the fluid in your stomach, the fluid in your lungs, the very large, tumors in your ovaries. So unfortunately, there's no way to detect it. And that's the reason why, out of 21,000 women diagnosed, 14,000 of them die a year. And the life, researching it, once you get diagnosed, if it doesn't get treated, or even if it does get treated, they say your lifespan is 5 years. So there is that percentage, like I said, there is that very small percentage that people survive, people go into remission, people live a whole life, but it's very small. And that's where hope comes. You have to have that hope that you are that 7,000, and a lot of it, sorry, a lot of it is your positive attitude. So through this journey, I'm really hopeful that I'm going to be that 7%, and a lot of it, I think it's positivity. A lot of it is how you react to it. I've really honestly, you have to believe that you are that 7%, that 7,000, that you're going to survive. And I mean, I don't know, I may not be, but you have that hope. You have that hope that, you're that 7,000, and that you live.
Yeah. So what are you doing to keep that positive attitude?
Really having a good support system. I really have an amazing support system. My family, us really believing like, what? No, like, you're going to beat this cancer, and really putting it in your mind, because they really say how you react to medication, how your attitude is really going to affect how your treatments go. And I've been on chemo for the last, since February, mid-February, they put me on chemo. And right away, as soon as I got out of the ER, when I told you I got put into the hospital, they did all those tests. Right then and there, everything was so quick. We're barely in May, and this happened February. At the beginning of February, they were like, okay, you have stage 4 ovarian cancer. Here's your oncologist. This is your plan. You're going to go on chemo. I got out that Thursday out of the hospital. The next day, I had a colonoscopy to make sure, what else is going on. So I got out Thursday. Friday, I got a colonoscopy. That weekend, I got an oncologist, which is a specialty doctor for cancer. I had an appointment with him. He said, all right, this is your treatment. You're starting chemo that Friday coming up, and we're going to go from there. So I literally had ER, hospital, colonoscopy, medication, right then chemo. And ever since then, it's been so quick, like losing my hair the week after, like having to cut it off, because I knew I did a lot of research. So when you find out you have cancer, you have 2 options: to lay in bed and cry and really just say, this is my life, or really step up and say, no, what can I do to live? Like, what am I going to do? Because I'm not going to let this take me. So right away, I started doing research about chemo. What is chemo going to do to me? What, do I need to change my diet? Do I need to start exercising? Can I exercise? So right away, I changed my diet. They said, eat really healthy. You don't want cancer to feed off of, all these foods like fatty foods, GMOs, sugars. So right away I was like, okay, very green food, very healthy, organic food. Um, and then just doing that research.
So with all of this now, like you said, this all happened in February. Now you're in May. You're having your chemo treatments. You have this amazing support system, your family, your partner. I'm sure you have tons of friends reaching out to you too. Is there any advice that you would give to women? I mean, I know it's hard because there obviously is no way of detecting it until it's already there. But is there anything that you would advise any women who, may have issues? I mean, I personally, like I told you, I have had irregular pap smears before. I do ovulate really heavy. My ovaries do hurt a lot. Um, During periods, during ovulation. I actually got tested. They did I can't think of it again. um, they did check my ovaries one time because I was really bloated. Same thing. They diagnosed me with IBS one time. And I remember I was so pissed because they put it on my medical file without even telling me, because I've had stomach issues most of my life and they've never been able to diagnose me with my stomach issues. I am bloated where I can't breathe, where I burp nonstop. I can't figure out why. Cut out soda. I've cut out anything that may make me gassy or any of that form. But it's honestly scary hearing this because honestly, everything you've tell me besides like the lymph nodes and stuff like that, I've had. I've gone through that stuff. I still go through it. I feel like as I've gone older, my periods have almost gone worse. Where I'm like, okay, am I going through premature menopause? Am I like, is something wrong with my ovaries? It's scary knowing that it could be happening to any one of us and not being able to detect it. But is there any advice or anything that you would give to women?
Definitely, really listen to your body. I mean, that's what I did. I wish there was a test, like I said, for ovarian cancer, but there is ways to ask doctors and really push for them because they won't do it unless you're pushy about it. I had my partner get tested or even get, checked because she found out that I had it. So she went to her gynecologist and she's like, my partner has ovarian cancer. Like, what can I do to make sure I don't have it? And her doctor also said, like, unfortunately, we don't have tests, but we could do an ultrasound, and it will cost you money because you're not pregnant and it doesn't cover, your insurance doesn't cover it. But is it worth it? If you are having problems, like how you said, I have ovary problems, getting it checked every 5 years and spending that $200, I know it's sometimes we are like, ugh, I don't have $200. Like, I don't want to pay for it. But if you feel like you do have those risks, say, I don't care. I'll pay that extra to get that ultrasound. Yes, do that ultrasound and check my ovaries, make sure there's nothing there, because that's the only way they can check is if you ask, do an ultrasound on me. Because normally when you get an ultrasound, like you said, you already have problems, so they have to do one, or you're pregnant. That's the only time they'll do it. But if you request and say, you know what, I have friends that I have a friend that got diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and I want to make sure that I don't have it or that I don't have signs. Um, they can do it. You just have to pay for it. Um, they will do the test if you have a history of ovarian cancer. So, for instance, my daughter can grow up and say, my mom was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Can you check me? They will check her because I had it. So they will do those type of checks. There is another test that the doctors don't really go by. It's called Cal 125. So if anyone wants to look that up, it is a protein that female carries to detect ovarian cancer, but they don't like using it because any of that protein can be triggered by any type of hormones, or if you're on some sort of medication, it could trigger those levels. But it's called CA125. So that is the protein that they test for ovarian cancer. A normal person without ovarian cancer will, their levels will be under 35. So it'll come out and it'll say under 35. So you'll have maybe 5, maybe 10%, level 10. So you don't have ovarian cancer. A person like me that has ovarian cancer, they tested me for that protein. And when they tested me, it was at 8,000. Now imagine someone normal will be under 35.
Oh my God.
I had 8,000. That's how much cancer it is. And of course, doing my research, this is all doing research, so people can look that information up. You can get tested for it, but the doctors will let you know that it's not 100%. It could be maybe 60%. So it could be, yes, you have it, or no, you might not have it, but something triggered it, but yeah, I had 8,000. That's what my levels are. I am going to say that I'm happy to say since my chemo treatment started in February, I'm at 1,000 right now. So it has lowered dramatically. I haven't told anyone yet, so I'm going to tell you first and everyone viewing. They just scheduled my surgery for the 26th of this month. So the 26th of this month, they are going to do surgery and take it all out. So I am getting a hysterectomy. So they're taking my whole entire uterus out just to make sure that it doesn't come back. And I'm probably going to continue to do chemo after that just to make sure that it's all completely cleared.
Yeah.
So it's honestly, I keep giving myself hope because I'm like, it happened really fast. My levels are lowered so fast, and I'm getting surgery in like 2 months after I was diagnosed, or 3 months. So I'm really hoping that, it really gets cleared and I
Yeah.
never see it again.
You're a fucking warrior and a fighter. And even if people don't know anyone with cancer, or if people don't, pray to God, ever get diagnosed with cancer, I hope your story, Yazmine, like inspire people just don't keep fighting. I know I've talked about 1,000 times, I have severe anxiety, and lately my anxiety has been off the charts and affecting my entire health again. And hearing you talk, not saying that what I go through is not as important to me as what you're going through, but it really puts things into perspective that if someone I know is fighting through cancer right now, I can fight through my anxiety. I can overcome it. I can, you know, I can be stronger. I can be a warrior with you. You know what I mean? I'm going to be there fighting with you. And it gives me hope. Everything I've ever experienced and gone through, to know that, like, you're strong. I applaud you, Yasmin, and you inspired me. Right now, you're inspiring me. And fuck, you're a fucking warrior. Thank
No,
you. Thank you.
no, I definitely, I get it. Like I have anxiety too. I have depression, but this, excuse my language, but this shit really humbles you. Like, you have no idea. It makes you strong as hell, because before, you're living life and you're like, ugh, I hate it here, or I'm so depressed. But when you have a purpose to live, when you're fighting to live, it really changes the way you think, because you're like, shit, before I was just content living. I was just like, ugh, I hate it here, But now that I have a reason that I have to fight for my life, it really humbles you. And you're just like, damn, I have to appreciate life more, because now it could be taken away from me. And it's not even my choice anymore. So that's what's made me really strong. And I'm just like, I can't be depressed. I can't get anxiety, because I have to be able to fight this. I can't be statistic, you know, I can't be a number. I have to be able to fight this and tell people it's okay and you will live, because you just got to make sure you put it in your mind that you're going to live, you know, and you can't let yourself down. Like I've had depression before, and I used to drink my life and be like, ugh, this life sucks, you know? And now I think about it and I'm like, no, like I want to live, you know, like dang, like my days could be numbered, and that's not what I want, you know? And I haven't even thought about depression. And, you know, friends check up on me every single day and they're like, how are you doing? How's everything? And I'm like, I'm great. I'm doing fine. I'm fighting. I'm gonna live through this. And people literally go, I'm so happy, you know? And I guess we need to hear that more from people that are struggling, you know, and really say you're gonna live.
Like I said, you inspired me. So imagine all the people that you are going to continue inspiring and putting this out there. And thank you again for being so open and vulnerable with my viewers and sharing something with me and my viewers that you haven't even shared to anyone else. I I've already learned so much, and I know other women will, or even men out there, you know, their daughters, their sisters, their mothers, their wives, their girlfriends, you know, it is very important to have that support system. And this goes with anything in life, to find that. And it really does make a difference on your day-to-day life if you have people who love you and support you and encourage you and are truly there for you. And I applaud your family and your friends and your partner for being there for you. And um, I think what you're going through is out of this world, but I mean, you are such a light, Yazmine, and I hope you truly know that you really, truly are a light in this world. And I can't thank you enough for everything that you've even done just for me.
No, thank you. Thank you for, you know, just allowing me to, you know, really tell my journey. And it's not done, you know, it's not done.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you want to finish up with? Is there anything else throughout this journey that maybe you had forgotten to mention before we close up this chapter?
No, I mean, I know I asked you if you could set up a link to for the ovarian cancer research, you know, if anyone wants to donate so they could research more. There's not enough research out there. There's not enough awareness. There is ovarian cancer awareness month, which is September, that people don't really know about. A lot of people are more concentrated on breast cancer, but ovarian cancer is out there. It's, you know, a lot of women have it. We don't talk about it. It's something that, you know, people don't really want to talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
but definitely do research, you know, it needs to be spoken about more, and people need to be more aware about it.
Can you go ahead and share with us verbally what these links are real quick, and then I'll make sure to put them on my Instagram?
Absolutely. I had it written down right here. Okay, so the first one's the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition, the NOCC. And then the second one's Ovarian Cancer Research Alliance, the OCRA. And we'll put a link so people can click on it and do more research about it. You can always donate. They definitely do need more research. So one day we can find an easy test where, you know, just like how you do a pap smear, that you could just go and take a test and find out if, you know, you have it or you could possibly get it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for everything you've shared with us. Let's go ahead and close up this chapter with our last cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
So fresh. Thank you so much for watching chapter 35, Cancer Warrior with Yazmine. Bye.
Bye.